Hello everyone, myself Mallesh, lecturer Mechanical Engineering, Department of Collegiate and Technical Education. Today I am going to teach steam boiler unit 2 in Applied Thermal Engineering, 5th semester for Mechanical Engineering students. Students, in my previous sessions I have explained various boilers or different type of boilers, their classifications, their working procedures, and water tube boiler, steam tube boiler, and classifications, characteristics. So various parameters I have explained in from session 1 to session 4. So today I am moving to the session 5. So let us take a glance on previous session what I can teach. So in previous session, in session 4, I have explained about high pressure boilers, their main features, their advantages and disadvantages, and there is their classification. Though the examples of a high pressure, there's a Lomond boiler, their construction and working and advantages, and Benson boiler, their construction and working. So these are the two high pressure boilers I have explained in the previous session. So today's session I have brought some content I have taken some content to explain in the steam boiler. So those contents are boiler mountings. So these are the mountings. So in past sessions I have explained the definition of boiler and types of boiler, classification boiler, and I have taken the four to five boilers to explain so how actually the boiler will used in the power generation. So those concepts are you aware about that. So these are the boiler mountings and accessories I am going to explain. So let's in the further session I will going to explain detailedly. So let's take a glance about content. What are the contents of boiler mountings? So we have boiler mountings. These are water level indicator, pressure gauge, safety valve, stop valve, blow off cock, feed check valve, and fusible plug. Students, let us take a note on what is boiler mounting and what is accessory. So boiler mountings it's a different things. Just take a pen here. These are the different fittings and devices necessary for operation and safety of a boiler are known as a boiler mounting. So these are the mountings. These devices are mounted on the boiler for the safe function or safe operation of boiler. These devices are required. So those devices are we can call as a boiler mountings. So secondly, these are fittings which are mounted on the boiler for the satisfactory functioning. So these are the fittings are mounted on the boiler for satisfactory functioning and safe functioning and efficient working, easy maintenance and safety of the boiler. So these are the devices must and should for safe functioning as well as efficient working and easy maintenance and safeguard to the boilers. So these are the devices are mandatory for each and every boilers. So important mountings which are generally fitted on the boiler are, so whatever the boiler mountings are, we are going to take a look on the various boiler mountings on different boilers. So those are common boiler mountings are water level indicator, pressure gauge, safety valve, stop valve, blow off cock, feed check valve and fusible plug. So these are the boiler mountings are generally used in each and every boiler for different functioning. In next slides I will going to explain each individually. You will come to understand what are the mountings and how it will be helpful for safe functioning of the boiler. Students, first one, water level indicator. So the name itself shows the water level indicator. It will indicate the level of the water inside the boiler. So that's why it will shows, it indicates water level inside the boiler to an absorber. So how much the level of water is there inside the boiler drum or boiler shell. So these can be determined by the device can call as a water level indicator. Secondly, it's a safety device upon which the correct working of the boiler depends. So this is a safety device upon which water level indicator is a safety device upon which correct working of yes exactly, because the water level indicator should be work properly and efficiently, because the water is a prime concept, prime criteria to run the boiler. If the water level goes down or false indication may leads to explosion of a boiler, or may leads to overheating of the boiler. So may leads to breakdown of the boiler. So these may be occur due to malfunctioning of a water level indicator. So for that purpose, it should be work correctly. That's why the safe function is mainly depends on water level indicator. So this fitting may be seen in front of the boiler. So you can see any boiler, you take any boiler, these fittings are mounted on up to drum level. There the level of water will be measured. It has a strong glass tube fitted to two hollow gun metal casting with help of stuffing box. So these are construction of a water level indicator. Let's move on to the one video I have uploaded. I am going to show one video how the water level indicator will work. Let's take a glance.
We will discuss about the water level indicator. Firstly, we will discuss of the water level indicator. We have a shield for a tube. This is a glass tube and outer portion is the shield for this glass tube for preventing breakage. There we have two another tubes and a rectangular passage. There we have water. This is complete is a boiler shell in which we have a water, and above there we have a steam. This is a valve 1. We can also call them cocks. This is valve 2 and this is valve 3. There is the water in this tube because lower level is connected to the water. This is the rectangular passage. This is the rectangular passage, and in the upper portion there we have a steam in the boiler shell. Now what will happen? Lower portion is connected to the water and upper portion is connected to the steam, and this valve is in open condition. When valve 1 will open, this steam will go in the tube and reach there. When valve 2 is open, then water will be go into the tube and water will take place their seat. Steam and water in this cell are in half condition. So water level indicator shows us water and steam is half scale, steam is half space acquiring, and water is also half space acquiring. So water level indicator shows us what is in the boiler shell, how much quantity of water in the boiler shell and how much quantity of steam in the boiler shell we will be see here. This valve 3rd will be always closed, and when this valve is open, this is used for cleaning purpose of the water level indicator. Sometime this shielding or water tube or steam tube can be break. There we have a steel valve in the rectangular passage. These steel valves takes place in this tube when this tube will be break, so that no water loss or no steam loss can happen. When our tube will break, then these valves will take place in the tubes, so that our steam and water loss does not take place. So this is our water level indicator working. Thank you.
Dear students, by watching this video, you have some idea how the water level indicator will work. So I already explained in previous slide. This is a very important device to monitor, important device to safe functioning and effective functioning of boiler. So let's take a 2D diagram is here. A water level indicator. This is a steam space. This is a water space already shown in the previous video. So we have a two so box we can call as a cock. We can call as two cocks. From here we have a two water cock. We can call this a water cock, and this is a steam cock. And we have a ball here, and we have a ball, as well as we have a stuffing bags. This is a glass contents is have, and this is also we have a ball opening is also there. So this is so the thing is here, the water, when this cock will open, water cock will open, the water flows here, and it flows to the through the ball. Again it will be indicated here in the glass tube. This is this is glass tube. It will flows here, and it will be measured in the glass tube. Okay, so similar way, when these steam cock will open, then the steam will flows, and ball valve is also open and flows to these things. So here you will going to measure what is the level of the water, and what is the in bottom level. This level will show the water, and above this level will show the steam. So this is how the steam water level indicator will work. So this is the 3D actual view of water diagram. As you see, this is two these things. Here we have a wall, another one is wall. So this is steam wall, and this is a water wall. This is a glass contained tube is indicating how much level of water there inside the boiler. So this is the water level indicator. So students, next move on to the pressure gauge. So this is also very important device to measure the pressure inside the steam boiler. So generally it will indicate the how much pressure of steam in the boiler. Secondly, commonly burden type pressure gauge is being used for pressure measurement. So generally burden type pressure gauge only we are going to measuring the steam pressure in the boiler. So pressure is continuously monitored, so has to avoid occurrence of shooting of boiler pressure. So here the pressure is very important criteria in the boiler. If the pressure increases, temperature also increases, so then ultimately it will leads to some damage to the tubes, as well as a possibility of explosion due to the high pressure in the steam boiler if it is exceeds the limit of the pressure. So for that purpose, we should maintain and we should keep eye on pressure which will be produced in the boiler for the safe functioning of the boiler. So these are the main criteria of pressure gauge. So although the safety device to protect boiler against pressure rising main, so this pressure gauge will act as a safety device to protect boiler against pressure rising behind a limit are provided, but pressure gauges are also used for monitoring purpose also. So here the pressure gauge is very important to check the pressure, as well as to monitor the pressure constantly. How much pressure is there in boiler, and how much pressure will dropping, or how much pressure increasing. So both all concepts of all pressures are going to monitor by using pressure gauge. So let's take a video how the pressure gauge or burden tube pressure gauge are working.
Burden tube pressure gauge. Burden tube pressure gauges are used for the pressure measurement of relative pressure from 0.6 bar to 7,000 bars. They are classified as mechanical pressure measuring instruments and thus operate without any electric power. This video will cover the followings. 1. Working principle of burden tube pressure gauge. 2. Construction. 3. Working. 4. Advantages and disadvantages. If you are new to ADTW, click on the subscribe button below and turn on the notification to get all the updates from our channel. Working principle of burden tube pressure gauge. When an elastic transducer, such as burden tube in this case, is subjected to a pressure, it deflects. This deflection is proportional to the applied pressure when calibrated. Construction. A C-type Burden tube consists of a long thin-walled cylinder of non-circular cross-section, which is sealed at one end. This tube is made from materials such as phosphor bronze, steel, and beryllium copper, and attached by a light mechanism which operates the pointer. The other end of the tube is fixed and is open for the application of the pressure, which is to be measured. The tube is soldered or welded to a socket at the base, through which the fluid, whose pressure is to be measured, enters the C-type Burden tube. Working of Burden tube pressure gauge. As the fluid under pressure enters the Burden tube, it tries to change the cross-section of the tube from oval to circular, and this tends to straighten out the tube. The tip of the Burden tube is connected to a segmental lever through an adjustable link. The segmental lever end on the segment side is provided with a rack which meshes to a suitable pinion mounted on a spindle. The segmental lever is suitably pivoted and the spindle holds the pointer. The resulting movement of the free end of the tube causes the pointer to move over the scale. In real-life application, the pressure gauges are mounted with siphon tube. Siphon tube is a simple device used to protect a pressure sensor from high-temperature media, such as steam. It can also be used to reduce the potentially damaging effects of rapid pressure changes. When first installed, the siphon should be filled with water or some other suitable separating medium. This medium continuously remains in contact with the Burden tube. Burden tubes are generally made in three shapes: C-type, helical type, and spiral type. Advantages of Burden tube pressure gauges. 1. These Burden tube pressure gauges give accurate results. 2. The cost of Burden tube pressure gauges is low. 3. Burden tube are simple in construction. 4. They can be modified to give electrical outputs. 5. They are safe even for high pressure measurement. 6. Accuracy is high, especially at high pressures. Disadvantages of Burden tube pressure gauges. 1. They respond slowly to changes in pressure. 2. They are subjected to hysteresis. 3. They are sensitive to shocks and vibrations. 4. Amplification is a must, as the displacement of the free end of the Burden tube is low. 5. It cannot be used for precision measurement. If you want more in-depth videos like this, then
students, let's take a glance on pressure gauge. I already explained you this video will be more helpful to understand the basic concept. So here you have a Burden tube pressure gauge. So already I have told, so the pressure inside the tube can measure. So we have a pinion and we have a pointer. So this is the Burden type. We have a C-type Burden tubes are using. So when the pressure from the steam will flows inside this tube, so then it will connect it to end on the Burden tube. So hinged with one end and it is open with other end. So when it moves, the Burden tube will deflect. So this Burden tube will be deflect. So due to deflection, this pointer will elongate in circular path. So how much pressure will came, so that much will be elongated. This Burden tube will elongate. So based upon that elongation, these pointers should be moved. So based upon the pointer position, we can measure how much pressure will be there inside the boiler tube. So this is the Burden tube pressure gauge. The actual picture shows the how the Burden tube will be, how the pressure gauge will be look like. So these are the main components of this Burden gauge. We have a cock. So this is the cock we are using, and we have block. So B is also block is using, and we have a pinion, rack and pinion positions we are using here to movement of the pointer. We have a connecting link is also there. So this is the connecting link, and a hinge point also there. So we have a hinge point here. So and then we have a Burden tube. S is called as a Burden tube. This is a Burden tube, and we have a T quadrant and in pointer. So pointer also we are using. So these are the basic construction of a pressure gauge. So next, third one, safety valve. So this also very important devices which are mounted on the boiler to safeguard the boiler from the high pressure ranges. So let's see what is safety valve. So these are the device attached to the steam chest for preventing explosion due to excessive internal pressure of the steam. So this device is mounted on the chest of the boiler to safeguard or to prevent explosion due to excessive internal pressure of the steam. So every boiler have a certain pressure limitation. So if the pressure goes behind that limit, so there is a possibility of explosion. So in that case, this safety valve will act as a guard for the boiler to withstand the explosion and excessive internal pressure. That means explosion will avoided. The safety valve will hold the explosion due to internal pressure by lifting the valve to safeguard the boiler. So this is very important devices for any boiler. So safety valve is must for all the boilers. A steam boiler usually provided with a two safety valve. So these are directly placed on the boiler. So we have a two safety valve. So those are directly placed on the boiler. The function of a safety valve is to be below of the steam when the pressure of the steam inside the boiler exceeds the working pressure. So here I can say we have a two safety valve. We have a low pressure and we have high pressure, we can say. So there is a pressure limitation as there. So once suppose say if the pressure of the boiler should be 165 bar. So we are providing two pressure safety valves. There the safety valves are designed. The pressure the first safety valve should open with 168 bar, and the second one will operate at 175 bar. So that is the maximum operating pressure. The operating pressure is 165 bar, but the design pressure will be more than that. There is a 10 bar excess of 10 bar. Okay, that second safety valve should be operated at 175 bar. So these are the two safety valves are primarily used. So the function of safety valve is to be blow off the steam when the pressure of the steam inside the boiler exceeds the working pressure. The function of the boiler safety valve is to blow off the steam when the pressure of the steam inside the boiler exceeds the working pressure. So next, let's take what are the types of safety valve we are going to use. So we have four types of safety valves. One is a lever safety valve, dead weight safety valve, spring loaded safety valve, high steam and low water safety valve. So these are the different type of safety valves are going to use in common application in boilers. Let's take a glance on how the dead weight safety valve will work. So here you say the pressure inside the steam is flowing inside the tube. Then due to pressure, the lift will lifted up. From lift, then the steam will flows outside. It will flows to the outlet. So this is the inlet of the steam and the outlet of the steam. So after the reducing the pressure, the dead weight is comes down, or you can say it's a wall seat. You can call as a wall seat that will be flows down. Then it will cut off the flow of the steam. So this is how the safety valve will constructed. Let's take a lever operated safety valve. So here you have a lever. So then we have a weight here. You are given the weight. I can say as a wall seat. So here the steam inlet is coming. So once the steam pressure will be high, then this valve will be flows up. To avoid that flows, the lever weight is given to one side to manage to hold the wall seat. So when the pressure will be reduced, then automatically the wall seat will be placed in placed there in seat. This is a wall. You can call this is a wall seat, and this is a body. This is a wall. So wall will placed on the wall seat. So that is one how the safety valve looks like. This is the diagram which shows your weight. So there we have a lever operated safety valve. So this is we have a dead weight is given here, and we have a wall seat. This wall seat will be operated due to steam pressure. Next, move on to steam stop valve. So this is a one major devices to cut off. This is a major entrance. You can say this is a gate to flow out of the steam out of the boiler for the various applications. So what it says, it will regulate the flow of steam from the boiler. So it will regulate the flow of steam from the boiler for the steam turbine or for different application. This is generally mounted on the highest part of the boiler shell and performs function of regulating the flow of steam from the boiler. So the regulation is the only major criteria of the steam from the valve. So steam stop valve generally has a main body of cast steel, valve seat and nut etc. are of the brasses. So the mainly it will made up of cast seals to withstand high pressure, because it will regulate the flow of the steam from out of the boiler. Then it should be sufficient to strengthen the overcome the pressure. So for that purpose it should be made up of cast steel. So it can be easily operated by rotating the hand wheel, which causes lifting or lowering the spindle, thus causing the opening or closing of the. Let's see see in the further videos how the steam stop valve will work. Let's take a glance at this video.
Stop valve. Stop valve is used in water and steam pipelines for shutting or opening the fluid flow. The main parts of the stop valve are the body, the valve and valve seat, spindle, packing, gland and the cover. The packing material is placed in the cover and the gland is then assembled. The cover is now fastened with a bridge by means of studs and nuts. The spindle is threaded at one end, which works in the threaded hole of bridge, so that the spindle can be raised or lowered. The other end of the spindle is stepped to assemble it with the valve. The spindle is inserted through the bridge and the cover assembly. The collar is introduced into the valve slot. The spindle step is inserted into the valve and it is fastened with the collar using the cotter pin. Thus, the spindle will carry the valve along with it when it is raised or lowered. At the top of this spindle, the hand wheel is mounted using nut. The square section of the spindle mates with the square hole of the hand wheel. main body is flanged in order to provide connection for inlet and outlet for the fluid flow. The valve seat is fitted with a body. The internal taper in the valve accurately seats the valve seat at its external taper. And nut flow from inlet side.
Students, you have seen the video how the different parts of the steam stop valve are manufactured and it will be assembled. You have seen the video. So here the basic concept, here we have a valve seat and a valve. So this is a steam inlet. When the steam inlet comes in, so this is the this is a stop valve. So this is operated manually, and as well as automatically also it will operate it, but it is a manual wheel are given. So when the inlet of steam is come here when this valve, this wheel is rotated or opening condition, when it opens it will move upwards, then the steam is allowed to flow to the outlet. So when the sufficient steam goes out, when need to cut off the steam, then we have to close the hand wheel, then it will be closed. So this is the valve seat are provided for opening and closing of the are allowing the steam out of the boiler. So this is how how this steam stop valve are constructed. So here this steam stop valve having some valve seat, some valve and spindle is there. For that we have a yoke and stud mechanisms are given with a gland to tightening or adjustment of the placement of the valve in valve seat. So we have a gland and we have a manual wheel is there. So this is the cover or a body. This is called as a body and this is a cover. So this is called a flange also we can call it. So this is how the steam stop valve are there, and this is how it will be look like. So from bottom position steam will enter and the steam will goes out in the horizontal position. So this is the wheel are given to opening or closing of the stop valve. So this is the purpose of steam stop valve using in the boiler. Next, blow off cock. So it's a device used to periodical cleaning by discharging of water and sediments from the bottom of the boiler. So it is fitted to the bottom of the boiler shell. So the boiler blow-off cock is a device to clean the boiler shell. So the boiler shell containing water may have some sediments or some particles, foreign particles should be removed periodically. So for that purpose blow-off cock is used. So this is generally below the some boiler shell are mounted. So these are fitted at the bottom of the boiler shell. At the blow-off cock has the plug of conical type put into the mating casing. So this is the one type of blow-off cock is there. So plug position is altered for opening and closing of the flow. So it also helps in regulating the salt concentration, has a frequent draining, helps in throwing out of the salt. So main concept is to blow out. So the name indicates shows is a blow out, blowing out the sediments are containing from the water tubes or shell. So this is the one purpose of using blow-off cocks. So it's also used for emptying the boiler whenever boiler is to be cleaned. So when the boiler should be cleaned, then the blow-off cock will open, then all the steam will be, all the water or steam will be drained out. So this is the one concept purpose of blow-off cock. Let's see the video how the blow-off cock is showing.
Hello friends, in this video lecture we are going to discuss about blow-off cock. Blow-off cock is provided inside the boiler in order to remove all the impurities from the boiler. So this is the device which is considered as blow-off cock. it consists of one main pipe. One end of the pipe is connected to the boiler and other end of the pipe is connected to the atmosphere. This pipe is having one plug and there is the slot inside this plug, right? Now under the normal working condition, this slot will be perpendicular to the pipe. So when the slot is perpendicular to the pipe, your pipe is not connected to the atmosphere, and whatever the water which is inside the boiler, that will remain inside the boiler. Now suppose if you want to shut down the boiler, then you want to remove all the water from the boiler. In that case, you have to rotate this plug by 90 degree. Once you rotate the plug by 90 degree, the slot will be in line with the pipe. So as you see in this video, the slot will be in line with the pipe, and whatever the water which is there in the boiler, it will move through the pipe and it will come out from the slot. Also, whenever there is any impurities present in the water, we need to remove that impurities from the boiler. Fine. In that case also we can operate the blow-off cock in order to remove the impurities. So this is how your blow-off cock will work. I hope you get all the ideas about the blow-off cock.
Students, by seeing this video, you able to understand clearly. We have a gland, we have a two position, the steam inlet and steam outlet. From that, so by seeing this video, so see here in the blow-off cock we have a casing and we have a screws are given, we have a plug point, this is the opening are given. So this is the opening. Here we have a wheel to open, we have asbestos packing are given here to reduce the leakage. So we have a gland, so adjustments are there when it is when the steam will flows from here and goes out, or the water flows here and goes out. So to draining purpose or remove sediment purpose, the blow-off cock is very much helpful to remove the sediments inside the boiler, and when the stopping conditions of the boiler also, the draining of boiler is possible with the blow-off cock valves. So this is how the diagram indicates the blow-off cock. So this is the actual diagram of the blow-off cock. Next one is feed check valve. So students, it is a non-return valve at the end of the delivery pipe from feed water pump, and it is placed on the boiler shell slightly below normal water level. So this is a feed check valve. It is a valve through which feed water will flows inside the boiler shell. So here this is the non-return type. This is a flow will occur in one direction. So again, this is a delivery pipe. It is connected to delivery pipe from feed water pump, and it is placed on the boiler shell slightly below the normal water level. So normal water level, below the normal water level, these valves are mounted. So it has a check valve whose opening and closing are regulating by the position of the spindle. So these are determined by the position of the spindle. How the spindle is, whether it may be in horizontal, it may be vertical, depending upon the position, the valves are operated. So feed check valve permits unidirectional flow of the water from the feed pump to the boiler shell. So unidirectional means only one direction flows is occur. So it is used to feed and control the flow of the water from feed pump into the boiler. If the pressure in the boiler shell is more, feed check valve gets closed. So that means it is used to feed and control the flow of the water from the feed pump into the boiler. So this is the main valve through which the boiler feed pump will feed the water to the boiler shell. So that is the purpose of feeding of the water to the boiler drum. So let's take a glance on this video. So how the feed check valves are there. This is the feed check valve. Similar to steam stop valve. So here we have a opening. So here this is the inlet of the water, and it goes to the outlet. This is outlet. Let's see different parts, how the explosion view are occurring. The spindle. This is the valve seat. These are the valve seat, and this is the gland. This is the actual view of feed check valve. Okay, next let's see an actual view of the feed check valve. So here I also told this is the water coming from feed pump, flows to the valve. This is called the valve seat, or valve, you can call check valve, or its valve seat. This is the valve seat provided upon the valve check. So when this is the hand wheel, when the valve is hand wheel is rotated manually, due to that the valve will lift it up, then it will allows the water to flow through to the boiler. So when the sufficient water flows to the boiler, it will rotate it automatically to close the valve. Then it will closes. Then it will place on the valve seat. Then they are not possible to allow the water to goes out to the boiler. So this is the how the feed check valves are working. So these are contains of body. We have a valve seat and we have a stuffing box. This is called stuffing box. Assemblies are there. To varying the position of the spindle, and you have a hand wheel for rotation, and this is the cover. So this is the 3D view of actual feed check valve. So the flow comes from bottom and flows horizontally. This is feed check valve, and we have a fusible plug. So students, this is one of the important and safety devices used for preventing the level of water from going down below the critical point, and thus avoids overheating. The concept is this is a device are attached at the furnace level to prevent the overheating of the water tube. So suppose it will indicate the water level of the water from going down below the critical point. So it is continuously monitoring the water level in the furnace to avoid the overheating with less quantity of water. So this is the one function of a fusible plug. It is fitted to the crown plate of the firebox. So upon firebox, the crown device, the crown shape is there. There the fusible plugs are mounted. It has a gunmetal body and a copper plug put with fusible metal at interface of a copper plug and gunmetal body. So this is made up of gunmetal body to withstand the overheating criteria. So for that purpose, it is made up of copper. It is made up of gunmetal and with a copper plug is surrounded by that. So next, the fusible plug must be kept in good conditions and replaced annually. So this is very important. We have to monitor this fusible plug operations every overhauling, or every for 6 months, or we have to annually also we have to check the fusible plug whether it is in proper conditions or not. So if it is the malfunctioning may leads to overheating of the tubes. So this is the one important point should be keep in mind while choosing fusible plug. So this is the actual fusible plug, how the constructions are there. Please look into it.
Hi, and we're going to this area here. That means it's easy to install. We can plug.
This is the fusible plug.
We can see it's got a screw thread. This area here. That means it's easy to install. We can just screw it in. The copper body, or this gold sort of coloured body here, indicates that it's made out of some sort of copper alloy. This means it will be brass, bronze or gunmetal. That's typically the material employed for a fusible plug. If we look around here, we can see a black dot. This black grey dot signifies that it's made of a different material to the plug body itself. And we'll get back to that in a moment. Let's just take a cross section. You can see the black grey area runs through the entire plug body. Now the black grey area is actually referred to as a fusible alloy. It has a lower melting point than the plug body itself. That means if we expose the fusible plug to a high temperature, the black grey area will melt before the plug body itself. Now this is very important because this is the whole reason behind the fusible plug design. We want this black grey area to melt at a predetermined temperature. So we've designed this fusible alloy to melt at a certain temperature. Now why would we do that? Why would we want that half of the plug literally melts when we expose it to higher temperatures or elevated temperatures? Well, the reason is we want it to melt because we want the system, which let's imagine that's on the right side of the screen, we want the system pressure to be released out through the fusible plug to the left side of the screen. And we want this to occur when the fusible plug is exposed to an elevated temperature. Now, it's a lot more clear if I explain this with an example. So let's go and have a look now at a compressed air vessel. Okay, so here we are. We're looking now at a compressed air vessel, also referred to as a pressure vessel. Now this cylinder that we're looking at, I'll just do a spin. This cylinder holds air between 6 to 8 bar usually. That's a standard pressure setting that you'll find in many industrial sites. The problem is that this compressed air represents stored energy. Now it's all fine when we're operating between 6 and 8 bar because it might have a design limit or a max allowable working pressure of 10, 12 or 14 bar. So we're well within limits if we're storing air at 8 bar. The problem is when we have a fire near the pressure vessel, the heat from the fire will heat up the air and this will increase the pressure within the pressure vessel. Now if we cannot release this pressure quickly, we're going to get an explosion. So in order to avoid this, we'll have a safety relief valve, 1 or 2 of them, and they'll vent in the event that the pressure becomes too large. And we'll also have a fusible plug. Now the fusible plug is normally mounted somewhere near the top, perhaps between these 2 appendages here, so in the middle. And if the fire in the area was to heat up that fusible plug, we already know that the fusible alloy in the middle would melt and the compressed air would leak out then or be forced out and vent to atmosphere. So it's reducing the risk of an explosion should there be a fire. Now fusible plugs are not just installed on the compressed air vessels themselves, they will also be installed normally just after the compressor on the discharge pipe work. You'll also see fusible plugs in older water tube and fire tube boilers. They were used in the past as a last resort should your boiler be low firing. So if the water level had gone so low that it uncovered the fusible plug, which was normally submerged in water, the steam and the elevated temperature would melt the fusible alloy and the steam would then enter the furnace space or the firebox and it would extinguish the fire as well as vent the steam, at least to the firebox. But this was an absolute last precaution, and nowadays fusible plugs in boilers are more of a rarity than standard. I should also mention that the fusible plug design for boilers is slightly different to the one that I've used here for compressed air systems, but the principle is more or less the same. Anyway, I hope you found that informative and interesting. If you've got any questions or comments, please do let me know.
So students, let's I think I hope you will understand by watching this video how the fusible plugs are very helpful in boilers. So let's take a glance, and this is the actual diagram of fusible plugs. So here we have a fusible metal. So this already I told it's made up of a gunmetal, and the plug S is made up of a copper. So the plug R is screwed. The plug R is screwed to the plug P here. So this is the plug P, and plug R is screwed to this one, and plug S is locked into the plug R. So we have like a hexagonal flange. We have a gunmetal. We have a gunmetal as well as we have a chrome plate is also there. So this will burn when the temperature will excess. So then it will allow some steam to cut off the flame. Water or steam to cut off the flame. So for that purpose, it will in that case it will reduce the overheating by burning itself to flow the water in the combustion chamber. So this is how the fusible plug will work. So dear students, I have explained so many boiler mountings and their necessary while operations. You have came into some videos, and we have I explained to some PPTs, some theories. You may go through this, and you will go to understand very easily. So while all the data all the data, including all the data. I have prepared some multiple choice questions for your reference. Please look on to that. So the first question is, a device attached to the steam chest for preventing explosion due to the excessive internal pressure of the steam is called. It's already a safety valve. A device attached to the steam chest for preventing explosion due to excessive internal pressure of the steam is called fusible plug. And second one is a device used in the boiler to control the flow of the steam from the boiler to the main pipe and shut off the steam completely when required is known as a stop valve. This is a stop valve. Again, we have a third question. A device used to put off fire in the furnace of the boiler when the level of the water in the boiler falls to an unsafe limit is called blow-off cock. Device used to put off fire in the furnace of the boiler when the level of the water in the boiler falls to the unsafe limit is called, it is given wrong here. A device used to put off fire in the furnace of the boiler when the level of the water in the boiler falls to unsafe limit is called is a fusible plug. This is not a blow-off cock. It's a wrong one. So this one, a device attached to the steam chest for preventing explosion due to excess is a safety valve. This is not a fusible plug. So some mistakes happened. Please go through this. And this is the device. This is boiler control flow of steam from the boiler to the main pipe and to shut off the steam completely when required is known as a device to control the flow means it's a stop valve is there. So answer is correct. Please go through this, and this is the wrong one. This is the fuse one. This is the right one. So please look into this. Look into these multiple questions, and you have to prepare yourself by referring this PPT in your own. This I will given for your reference. So students, I have given some activities for your you have to do your own based upon the session I have teached. So in that I have teached in session completely boiler mountings. So you have to visit some sugar factory or dairy or steam power plant and prepare handwritten report on various boiler mountings are mounted in the different boiler in different applications and accessories also their functions, and you have to go through the safety measure observed there. So these are the preferably boiler mountings is for safe functioning of the boiler. So just noted and write the report what are the boiler mountings and what are their functions and in their applications. So this is activities for you people. So students, I have referred various books initially from heat engines by Pandya and Shah, thermodynamics and heat power engineering Mathur, a textbook of thermal engineering R.S. Kurmi, thermal engineering P.L. Balani, and Karna publications, thermal engineering Mahesh M. Rathore. So these are the books I referred for your reference. Thank you. Any doubt, please mail to malaysiamike@gmail.com. This is for reference. I will conclude here, and I will come with another session for boiler accessories. Please go through this PPT and please go through these reference books I have given for any much information required and for any doubts required. It will clarify by studying these books. Thank you. Once again, I will say you stay safe and stay home.